Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and I'm going to be bringing you another car story for today, and this one will be about the Supra. So we're going to be going around the same format that I did with the 240, except this one's going to be how I was able to acquire a Supra. So, I mean, this one's going to be pretty much, this one's crazy. This whole story is complete, I don't even know. It's very, I guess, lucky. It's crazy. And this is just the other half of my cars that I've been through that didn't have anything to do with the 240 at all. Like I said in the little short video last time, if you guys can guess the background song, it'll be an OST from one of my favorite video games. If you guys can guess the song, let me know in the comments what the song is, and I will pin your comment. Also, do not forget to like, and for those of you that are new, subscribe and hit the bell and icon so that way you can keep up to date to all my new videos. I'm going to be going through all these pictures, but I'll be looking at them on my computer so I can see them and go along with the story, but I will be throwing the photos up somewhere over here or something, and you guys will be able to see them there while I talk about this. So it'll be the same format as the last video about the 240, and but yeah. Okay, so the first car, this is going to be basically the key ingredient to how this happened. Now, this is going to be a tough one. So I was searching up on the marketplace, and I found this Eagle Talon that was for sale that was close by. He wanted, I think, 900 bucks for it. I was like, whatever, man, dude, I will give you 900 bucks for it, because it was all-wheel drive, it was turbo, it was a Talon, and it had 82,000 original miles on it. It's pretty rough. I mean, there's no rust on it. It was rust-free, but there was a dent in the quarter panel, and the fender needed to be replaced. But I had this thing for a little while. I guess the guy thought that they needed to pull the engine or something for the head gasket, which was ridiculous. It was kind of ridiculous. I did the head gasket and everything, ARP head studs, and I had it running, and I even drove it. I mean, it was actually pretty fun to have another Talon. But this car is literally the key ingredient to how I was able to obtain my Supra. This is after I finished it, and Austin had some stock Evo 8 wheels I put on there. It looked way better with them. And so now we're going to come up to my Evo. Now, there's a lot of you that are probably following me from my Evo 9. It was the top mount 6466 car, fully built. It was a manly everything with an Evo 8 swap trans. So it was an Evo 9 MR SE. I picked this up, and the story behind this is freaking insane. I met a guy, he was one of my friends, and whenever I'd go to Ice Cream Cruise when I had my first Evo. So literally everything just comes into a line. So my first Evo is how I even met this guy, and I just kind of hung out with him while I was at Ice Cream Cruise on the throwback cruise the day before Ice Cream Cruise actually happened. And because I had an Evo, I parked with the other Evos, and I ended up talking to him a lot and ended up adding him, and this was years ago. And so he had always been fascinated with my JZ cars because he's always wanted to do a JZ and stuff. And since I had got rid of my Evo and I got my car back, I was still friends with him, and he still had his Evo 9. So I think it's been a couple years, because this was 2020 when I got the Evo 9. This is 2020. He messaged me, and I had already acquired a crap ton of parts, so like an extra engine, transmission, clutch, like the whole 9 yards basically, to have another running car if I had a car. And he messaged me, and he's like, you know, find me a car, and I'll trade you my Evo for it. And I was like, no cap. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I want an E46 BMW, and I was like, really? I had some money saved up already, and I had like $4,000 that I just had saved because I needed a down payment on my house, which, oh man, this was really sketch. I was pretty sketched to do this, but everything ended up working out. Obviously, I have my house and everything, so that's nothing to really be worried about. But so starting out, I ended up surfing everywhere to find him an E46 BMW, and I ended up finding this guy right here, which I'll throw up all these pictures. The thing was very, very clean until he got it and found that the owner tried to, he sketched me over pretty much. There was some damage that was hidden, but he had it all fixed and everything. The car was repainted, or he had most of it repainted, and it was decent. He wanted me to trade him this E46 BMW. He's like, find me an E46 and give me some extra JZ parts with it. Find me an E46 and bring me a JZ, basically, and I'll give you my Evo. So I literally spent a day hauling cars this, oh man, it was crazy. So, oh my god, I can't, it's crazy, because I spent 2 different weeks. I went to Omaha with a car, and oh man. So the first week, I loaded up my transmission and my clutch and everything for him, because I had a spare R154 that was a tripod, and I went to 2 hours the opposite direction to get this BMW for him, and I paid $3,000 for this BMW. Now, I'm only going to say I basically essentially paid $3,000 for the Evo 9 because I already had the parts laying around. Now, there was like $10,000 worth of parts and stuff that I gave him, so I mean, still kind of paid like $14K for the Evo 9, but it's still an Evo 9 that's fully built and is making like 600 wheel. So basically, essentially, I paid $4,000 or $3,000 for this Evo 9, which I hauled to him, and then I made another trip and I took him another car that had an engine in it that I cut a deal on. Now I have this Evo 9 that is crazy. Everything worked out fine. I had the Evo 9, I had the Talon, and I had the 240. And at the time, I was pretty high on life. That was crazy. I had 3 freaking good cars to work with. And I had the Evo for a little while. I did some things with it. Here is the first day that I brought it home. It was on the trailer. Here is the day I got it home. I got it home, and it was behind the 240, and it was just so crazy. I was like, man, I have this Evo 9, and I have the 240 together. Like, that's insane. Like, I felt so, it was just so unrealistic, and it was there. Everything was so dirty. It was underneath a freaking tree the tree's been pooping on it its whole life. Here's the engine bay. So top mount 6466, map, everything. Man, I miss this car. Honestly, I want to get another one so I can have one to have with the Supra and the 240. It'd be sick. Man, so awesome. Here's my first pull in it. I think this is my good pull. Pretty crazy. Here is after I got her cleaned up. She looks so good. Oh my god, I really miss this car. Damn. I took her to work one day because I used to work at the quarry, and I did some donuts in the sand. It's pretty solid, although she got warm pretty quick because that single side radiator. Here, I launched it for the first time. That's crazy. This car made so much power I would break the loose and set it and rolling. So this thing would torque steer like crazy. This thing is way faster than the other Evo. This one was crazy. My first winter in it. I never drove it in the winter. I didn't want it to touch snow or anything. This car was rust free. And here is where things are gonna start happening. So here is I had my Talon parked at Austin's house. It's back when Austin had his coupe, which I really still wish he had. He made a terrible decision and sold it for really cheap. This thing is way cooler than his Eclipse. I wish he still had this car. This car was so awesome. Here's another picture of the Talon. And here's where it gets crazy. So one night I was chilling, and I was really, really bored. I went on the Supra groups, and I posted the Evo up. I was like, anybody want to trade a Supra project for my fully built Evo 9? And I didn't really think anything was going to happen of it. But like I said before, if you guys watched the last video about the 240, just because one person wouldn't want it doesn't mean another person wouldn't want it. So I posted the Evo in the groups, and and it was in there for like maybe a couple hours. And this guy from New Mexico messaged, he commented, and he sent me a picture of my Supra, my silver one, and my silver Supra. I was like dumbfounded. I was like, no way. So he posted a picture of the car, and the car didn't have an engine in it, didn't have the transmission, but it had everything. The engine and transmission were basically there. They were there, but they weren't in the car. And I was like, no way, you're actually down. He's like, yeah, I had an Evo before, and I kind of want to get another Evo, and I think it's just because he didn't want to work on it, or he didn't understand what was going on with it, which is fine. That's understandable. But yeah. So I think this was a Wednesday, and I was like, when are you free? And he's like, this weekend. And I was like, Friday. So I messaged my wife, and I was like, hey, call work off Friday because we're going to be going to New Mexico. This was 1,011 miles one way. I drove 2,000 miles round trip for this car. All right, so here's what the Talon, guys. I had to sell the Talon for gas money to get to Albuquerque to get the Supra. So that's why I don't have the Talon anymore. And I did it because I was in the process of buying a house, and all at the same time, just everything was just crazy. So yeah, I ended up selling the Talon for like, it was like $3,600. I didn't spend all the money on gas. So basically what happened was I spent $3,000 of my deposit money for my house, my down payment money. And then I sold the Talon for $3,900, and I spent like $900 in fuel and put the money back in for my deposit for the house. So that's how everything worked out. So the Talon went away so I could acquire the Supra and my house. So I basically took my Evo to Albuquerque, New Mexico, traded straight across for this Supra that had, basically it was a project. It was 100% a project. So here's some old pictures. I contacted the old owner from Australia because the car was originally from Australia. So here is the Supra from back before he got it. Apparently this hatch was completely rusted out. And that's why it's got that's why I had the blue hatch on it, which now is fully repainted, as you guys know if you're following. This is first picture I took of the car the next day after I woke up, and we were on our way back. I think this was in Oklahoma. Either Oklahoma or Kansas. And then I got it home. It's sitting right next to Levi's Skyline. This was so hype. This was so unbelievable. It was just crazy. I couldn't even believe this was happening. So I had the Supra for a little while. I got it all fixed. I got it all running and everything. Got it on a standalone. Got it tuned, and it was pretty decent. I didn't want to deal with the W58, and I didn't want to deal with the fact that it was right-hand drive. I think that there was just something that was irking me back then. I don't know why. But I ended up posting it for sale, and I was really posting it up for trade, and I got offered so many things for it. It's crazy how many things people offer for a Supra. But some guy was like, I'll give you $40K cash, and he came the next day, handed me $40K cash, and the car left. After this $40K cash, I was going to end up buying like a $25,000, like, it was a freaking rear diff to intercooler setup for the 240, because at this time the 240 was broken and I wanted to get a built engine. So this was like it was like a 1600 wheel horsepower driveline setup for the 240, which I was going to buy. And then I was going to spend I think like $14K on this K20 swap MR2 that was making like 600 wheel. Would have been super sick. I would have been ecstatic with it. So I had set up the deal to buy this MR2, and 3 days later, my buddy John from Florida was like, hey man, I just saw that you sold your car. Do you want to buy my Supra? And I was like, no shot, because his Supra is a left-hand drive, makes 700 wheel, and it was the red Supra that I had on my channel. You saw one video of it. This is the car. So this car is it had a parachute that was not functional. The car wasn't fast enough to even need a parachute. It was on bead locks. I did not want to take another far trip because Florida is even worse than Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he's like, dude, just give me $42K and I will have it delivered. I was like, no way. So now I was like, $42K delivered. I was like, you got a deal. Because I was like, this time I was like, man, I could try left-hand drive. It was a Targa Top, which not a lot of people like, I guess, but the Targa Top was pretty sweet. It's a pretty sick car. This car had 330,000 miles on it, I'm pretty sure. It was something like that. It was crazy, but it was T56 and everything. Basically the same setup that the Supra has now, my silver one. 1.5 JZ, T56. It was basically the same thing that's going on now with that car. I had this car for a couple months, but it was getting winter, and oh man, it was really bad. This was when I was still into the racing and really, really bad. I had this ego where there's all these freaking V8 guys just, I don't know what their issue was, but they freaking hated on the fact, I don't know if they hated on me or they hated my car or something. I don't know what it was. I didn't do anything to anybody. I just wanted to hype up the fact that everyone was racing and that it was just fun. All I wanted to do was race. But I had this ego and everyone would just talk crap, and it was just getting outrageous. So I ended up posting the Supra up for trade for another 240, and that's where we come into the black car. And I only had the black car for a little bit. I got it right before winter, and this car was crazy. This thing made 1,200 wheel. This car went 811 at 174 miles an hour. Stick shift Dogbox. This thing was freaking fast. This was a fast ass car. It was crazy. I didn't have it for very long. By the time spring was coming back around, I was just like, whatever, I don't even care anymore. I just want to enjoy myself, and this car was way too freaking much already. And I ended up posting it for sale. I sold it for $40,000 to a guy in the Cayman Island. After I sold this car for $40K, I didn't do anything to it, by the way. It was basically that when I got it, stayed the same. I drove it a couple times, made a couple videos, and ended up selling it. And sold it for $40K. And at the same time I had the black car, I picked up this red Evo. I paid $6K for it. I paid $6,000 for this red Evo. I had to rebuild it. The engine and stuff was tore apart. Put it all back together. Had it running. I have no idea what the freaking issue was. It was just, oh man, I don't know. I was just like, whatever. I posted up for $9K. I sold it for $9K. So I made $3,000 off of it. So now I have $9,000. It's chilling there with the $40K that I got from the black car. And yeah, so the owner of my silver Supra was like, I'll sell it to you for $34K. I was like, dude, let's do it. So I bought it back for cheaper than I sold it. And spent a bunch of money. I got a 256 and everything for the car, converted everything over. I bought all OEM panels. I got got this really nice lip. I got all the vents and everything. Then I hit a deer. Basically destroyed the front end, completely fixed it, repaired it, had the front end painted and everything. The car's all one color now. It's just, it's crazy. Everything is just, everything just lined up. Everything was perfect. It's just crazy how everything lined up. It's just, I don't even, man, the stars aligned, man. Like, if you look at this from the beginning, I basically paid $3,000 for this Supra. That is basically what happened. Because I spent $3,000 on that BMW to get my Evo, and I traded the Evo straight across for this. Crazy. This is like, I'm still mind blown about it. Like, this is just, it's insane. Absolutely insane that this happened. Like, I'm still blown away. But yeah, so this is where I met, guys. Like, I sold the 240 and I was able to get it back. Well, I traded it and got it back. I sold the Supra and then somehow I was able to buy it back. So I bought 2 cars. I got 2 cars, got rid of them, and then got both of them back. And it was, I don't know, I'm very fortunate, I guess. But yeah, that's where it sits now, guys. I got the Supra and I got the 240, and I have no intentions of getting rid of the Supra. I have no intention of getting rid of the 240. Figured I'd just make another quick video on the Supra because I know that this one's a hot take. This one's crazy. Like, honestly, that is just crazy. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys do enjoy it. I know that I got a lot of good positive response back from the last video, so figured I'd just put this one up and get this one out too, just because I know there's probably going to be some people that are interested. This car right here is probably the real reason people keep asking me, how do you have so much money? But there it is, guys. I'll lay it out flat for you. You guys can trade whatever you have for something better. You guys just need patience, and you guys need to make sacrifices. Like I said, man, I just sacrificed a freaking fully running, fully built Evo 9 making 600 wheel for a non-running shell. Basically, I didn't know if the engine was bad. I had to replace the turbos and stuff on it. So, like, I mean, it was just, it was another risky move, but I ended up with a Supra, and man, like, we're making some moves with it now. Everything's gonna start coming together. Got some plans for it, and hopefully I can get some stuff worked on and make it a little bit faster. I kind of want it to be like the 240 was, just not, I mean, not as crazy, maybe 500 wheel. But yeah, guys. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know what you guys think that the song is, the background song. And if you guys get it right, I'll pin your comment. Don't forget to like the video. And yeah, that's it, guys. Later.